start with the overall markets, and we've got Mr. Joseph Busher from J.M. Busher Investments who joins us this evening. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Busher. Let's start with those overall markets. I did indicate that we did end off the day in positive territory, but not quite the highs that we saw yesterday. I think yesterday was about 2.96% higher. Today, a little lower, just over 1%, and I see resource stocks today not doing too great.
Well, I agree with you. I think the market was just really correcting from last week. Remember, we had quite a rot last week, and yesterday's gains, and today just really it's a correction. And I think guys just coming back to pick some of the stocks that might have been hit hard. So the resources continued to perform badly. Your Anglo Gold, Amplats, Anglo-American, all down between 1.3 and 1.5%. So today the market was held very well by the industrials, as you showed earlier on, 2.5% up, and you have process and Naspers there, some of the heavyweights certainly holding the markets up. We also have got the luxury company Richmond also printing about 5% up today. So it's really one of those days when whenever the market is in the green is always good, and I think investors are always happy because at least it shows that you're banking a bit of profits. The riskiness and volatility is not gone yet, given I think just the global fears of recession, the inflation that is picking up, and I think a massive increase that could happen within the fixed income market. And hence, we know when interest rates are higher, people tend to move into fixed income portfolios and sell off into the equities which are riskier assets than fixed income portfolios.
Right, and then let's have a look at the rand. I did mention in my intro, Mr. Busher, that it's mostly because of the little bit of dollar weakness that we are seeing. Obviously, market participants have now digested the increase that is set to be announced by the Federal Reserve. But what would you say are some of the other catalysts?
Well, I think we're still hovering above 17 rands to the dollar, so it's still really weak. Compared to what we've been used to in the last 2 years or so, between 14 and 15. So we've set really high elevated levels on the runs. I think it's really just the nervousness of the market and also our domestic issues, whether we'll be able to pull off. Like all the global economies, we're still reeling from the COVID. You mentioned, the earnings season coming through. This is also being affected by the high inflationary environment. So the rands are, just like all the other emerging market currencies, is to consider to be riskier than the dollar. But now and again, we see the dollar weakening, and I guess this is really just because Fed is going to continue on the tightening cycle, and hence that could make a little bit, the dollar now and again weaker compared to the other currencies.
Mm-hmm. Tongaat now, company news, Mr. Busher, they're officially putting out their SENS announcement that they will be temporarily suspend their listing on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange because they want to focus on their restructuring and also just get their finances in order. What do you think of this move? Was asking for that suspension from the JSE a positive one on their part?
Well, they have been really struggling for the last few years, and I think for me it would be very shocking for them to actually voluntarily ask the JSE to say, listen, we can't produce our financials as required by the listing department. They were given one extension, now they're asking for another extension, hence you saw the share price taking a knock. And I think this is really just not good, given the fact that they've been in trouble. The former executives, have been investigated or under investigations for misrepresentation, in particular of their financial status. So it does not really augur well for a company that wants to clean itself and just comply and do good for investors. Nonetheless, I think if they are given or granted that suspension, once they submit the financials, then they could ask that suspension to be lifted. So we hope that they will be able to stick to the timelines, but at least work hard to just ensure that investors have faith and trust in the business.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Busher. That is Joseph Busher from J M Busher Investments, giving us an update on the markets and their performance today. And that's all from your business desk for now, Sally. I'll be back in the next bulletin with more updates.